In this video, I'm going to talk about creating accessible PowerPoints. So we're basically going to go over alt text for images and how to do that in PowerPoint. We're going to talk about backgrounds, font types, and font sizes. We'll also talk about layout templates, the reading order of a slide, using shapes on a slide, and also animations and transitions. So first we're going to start with how to add alt text or alternative text to an image. Now what this does is it allows for a screen reader to read that alternative text to the learner. And so the way to do this in PowerPoint is to click on the image, and then you're going to right click, go to Format, Picture, and then you're going to go over here to the third icon, which is Size and Properties. And then it gives you, most likely it's going to be not expanded like this, so you'll click on the arrow down. And then here you can see that you can get the information here. So it says titles and descriptions provide alternative text-based representations of the information contained in tables, diagrams, images, and so on. So it gives you a little bit of information about the image. So here I'm going to put this particular one is about the ADDIE model. So it's an ADDIE model diagram. And then I can give additional description here that would maybe go through exactly what is in the image. Well, I'm not going to go through all of this, but you see what this description area is for. Okay, so then when you're finished with that, you'll just click the X, and then now this image has that alternative text on there for a screen reader. The next thing I want to talk about is background, font type, and font size. So for backgrounds, it's really important that you keep the background simple. You don't want super bright colors. It's usually best if you use a white background or a black background. And you also want to think about the contrasting colors. And so if you use a white background, it's best to use a black font, or you can use a dark gray or navy blue, any of that type, those types of colors. As far as font types, you want to use simple fonts. So here you see in this image examples of bad fonts and also example of good fonts. And for the most part, you want to think about using fonts that are sans serif, so it doesn't have the little ticks along. Now for print materials, usually something like Times New Roman or Cambria are probably the best fonts. But for the internet and what we see on screens for screen readers, it's best if you have the simple fonts like Calibri, Arial, and so on. You definitely don't want to have these with all these curls and these cursive types of lettering and script, because to me it's hard for me to read. So a screen reader is definitely going to have a hard time reading that. Now on PowerPoints, you want to make sure that the font size is above a 22 point. So, you want it to be legible and easily read. I usually keep mine around 30. This font here is 32. So that's what's in already in our template, our PowerPoint template for CHP. So 22 32 is actually a really good size. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is slide layout templates. So this is probably the most important thing that you need to remember when you're using PowerPoint as far as accessibility goes. You want to use the templates that are provided that are provided in PowerPoint. What I mean by that is, so right now I'm using the CHP template. However, even if you're not using the CHP template, you want to make sure that when you're adding a new design or a new slide, you want to choose a type that's already built in to the layout as a layout. So the most common one is probably going to be title and content. So you want to make sure that you're using these because it's super important for screen readers, because what happens is the screen reader may jump over or ignore anything that is not already part of this template or layout that's built in. So a student using a screen reader may not get the information that you want them to get from the slide. So text boxes would be ignored, and other items like that. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is reading order. So when someone who can see well reads a slide, we usually read it, text or picture in the order that they appear on the slide. It's a little bit different with a screen reader. So what the screen reader does is it reads the elements on the slide in the order that they were added to the slide. So that may be a little bit different than the way you want them to read it. So we want to make sure that everyone reads the content in the order that you intend. So the way that you will check the reading order is to go to, make sure you're on, let's see, the Home tab here, and then you want to click over here on Arrange, and then Selection pane. All right, so then it gives you here, these are all the elements that are on this particular slide. So right now I have content placeholder 2, which I click on it, it activates that, or it puts the box around it. Picture 5 here, title 1. Now it's a little odd because the screen reader actually reads this from bottom to top. So you want your title, excuse me, your title to be at the bottom, and then the other items. Now I actually prefer that the content placeholder 2, so this text content come before the picture. So I want to move that down. So I have this highlighted here. So I have it highlighted here, and then I'm going to click the arrow button down, and you'll see then that it's in the second place here. Okay, so when I'm finished with that, I'll just click the X and get out of that. So that's how you change the reading order of a slide. So the next thing I want to talk about is animations and transitions. So first of all, you want to be really, really careful when using animations. You want to make sure that you don't have a lot of text bouncing around, pictures twirling, anything like that. You want to make sure that everything you use, animations, transitions, anything like that, has a purpose. For me, the most important reason for using an animation is basically maybe to hide information on a slide and reveal it as you're talking about it to prevent distraction. So for me, unless I'm using it for that, there aren't very many other reasons to use an animation or a transition. But if you are going to use one, you want to make sure that you have the on mouse click option highlighted. So I'll show you how to make that happen. Okay, so when I click animation tab, and I have this already animated, as you can see, the little one is here. But what I want to do, you first have to give the animation or the text or whatever item the animation that you want. I have appear, which is also very important to use something like appear or fade, because these are very simple. You don't want split, you don't want random bars, any of that kind of stuff. You just want appear or fade, something like that. So once you've chosen the type of animation, then you have the option over here under in the timing area to start. By default, it's on click. So if you just leave that the way that it is, then that's perfect. With previous and after previous, this has to do with the previous animations. So you don't want those want animations to happen automatically. You want to be the user or the learner to be able to either click the mouse or press the arrow key in order to advance to the next information with the animations or to transition to the next slide. All right, so the next thing I want to do is use the accessibility checker. So the way that you're going to do this is you're going to click on File, and then over here you're going to click Check for Issues. And then here, check accessibility. And this, it gives an explanation here. So check the presentation for content that people with disabilities might find difficult to read. So we click here, and then you'll notice this panel comes open. And I have a few errors, and I also have some tips. And this is all about checking the reading order. So it basically gives you a little bit of a, a tip for, hey, if you click on slide 2, that reading order might not be exactly right. So you can go back through and look at the reading order again, like I showed you before. If you go to Home, Arrange, Selection pane, and then that will open up in addition. And if I like the reading order that I have, then you can just leave it. But so that's why it shows up under tips, but you're going to see here errors. So missing alt text for 3 different images that I have. So let's go to picture 4 on slide 8. So I don't have alt text for this particular image. So again, you're going to right click on that image, click Format Picture, and then here you're going to go to Size and Properties, and then that last option is alt text, and then you can go in and fill in the title and description for that particular image. And as you fix each of these, you will then see that these errors will go away. So here, I'll go ahead and give this alt text. And this is my accessibility checker access. All right, so then as I do that, click here, close that, and then you see that that particular issue and error went away. So that is how you will use the accessibility checker for PowerPoint. And my last slide here is my citation, and I got the majority of the information in this video from this particular location. So if you have any questions and you want to know anything about some of the resources that I've been using, please feel free to reach out to me and I can send you those. Also, I am posting a lot of resources on the CHP resource page, and I will show you how to access that. So here I'm on the CHP resources, and you'll see here I have the ADA accessibility videos, additional resources. So I have articles, quick tips, etc. here. So you can find additional information for the PowerPoint accessibility. It walks you through step by step. So if there's anything that I didn't cover, you need a little additional information, you can click here. Also general information about ADA compliance, about including universal design, alt text basics. This gives you some tips on how to actually create the alt text and how best to describe the images that you're using. And then also here, 5 tips for ADA compliant inclusive design. This I found at Inside Higher Ed, and so it gives you some additional tips that you can walk through and learn a little bit more about ADA compliance. So I will be following this video with another video that goes through using Microsoft Word.